Hello, friends. It's a PHNX Cardinals reunion. Johnny Venerable joined by Damon, Dawg. Today, we are 1 week away from training camp with the Arizona Cardinals. We preview the major position battles, that and more coming up. It's PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. The PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Look and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. We call it in the hotline today. Damon Dawg returns to the podcast 1 week away from training camp. Of course, no man behind the mic. Bo is back on Monday. But today, we're throwing it back. Double D, what's going on, my guy?
It's about family. It's about family. It's like Dom Toretto said, and you know, I'm thrilled to be back here with all these lovely people. Mm-hmm. But also, I wanted to get something out of the way off the top, Johnny.
Yeah.
I haven't told you this yet, but before this show, I was trying to get myself, cleaned up a little bit. Are you familiar with the unnamed mouthwash brand Pocket Pals that you can take the little tabs of, and it's like mint flavored?
No.
Yeah. So they're very strong. I took about the Listerine Pocket Pals. I took about 5, I think, on accident.
Whoops.
And I was going through it a little bit off the top. I feel like every time I take a breath in, I just get a sharp, cold pain straight into my brain.
Nothing like taking breath mints before an internet show. But here we go. You got
it's for all the people
taking care of Nolen studio. I appreciate that. You've got your finest camo D-backs hat on. So we know we're in for a good show today. Everybody drop a like on this bad boy. And you know what? Damon's taking care of me with his breath. I'm taking care of him. It's a special occasion. Got some Dutch Bros mocha today, throwing it back. Mocha for Damon Dawg. Salute, my friend, as we throw back to the combine this year, where I was enjoying a sugar-free mocha, and everything went to hell after that.
I might have to, maybe go find a hotel gym to put some, some pants and maybe like a good flannel on and go get a quick workout in before the boys hit the bar.
So proud of you. I'm so proud. Every time I see Damon, I'm so proud. Check him out. In all seriousness, of course, the U of A Wildcats podcast, the #1 Wildcats podcast you can get. It's fantastic. Brett Brennan on the show recently. Got the quarterback on. I mean, Brett, I would imagine it would be in Brett Brennan's best interest to buddy up with you and Kevin. Would it not be?
I mean, I think, marketing to a skewed younger fan base definitely wouldn't hurt after the last season and just the way that I think the general internet population feels that Brent Brennan is like the caliber of coach of. But that being said, I do think that there's like a kind of a hidden confidence in next season, not to be like Big 12 champions, but to be better than what a lot of people expect them to be.
Yeah, they're going to scrap. We're going to scrap on today's show. We had to call on Damon today because Damon and I are going to go through position battles ahead of training camp. And I know Damon can scrap because I've seen him on Twitter since he left this show. And it's seemingly every night until the wee hours of the morning, he's on Twitter scrapping it up, which is, I feel like, the one quality that I indirectly or maybe directly bestowed upon you when you left the show. Like Bo's very buttoned up. He wants to get in good with the players. He wants to eat, lunch with Dennis Gardeck and Jesse Lucetta. And you and I will let the takes fly. And I think that's why today's show could be special.
Yeah, it's about letting it fly, Johnny. And what's the fun in being so buttoned up? Like our good friend Bo Brock. Let's get weird, and we'll never log off. That's the thing about guys like me and you. We won't ever. You can't make us.
So true. We will never log off, in part because of our friends at Pole Position, presented by the Phoenix Raceway. They are sponsoring today's show with the training camp battles. Join them October 31st through November 2nd for NASCAR Championship Weekend. Bo Brock, big NASCAR guy. Tickets, hospitality, and upgrades still available. Get yours now at PhoenixRaceway.com. Bo and I were at Gila over the weekend, just across the street from Phoenix Raceway. It's just a fabulous event, fabulous time. Couple your Phoenix Raceway reservation with a reservation at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, then maybe taking a cards game on a Sunday. Sounds like a little sweet weekend, Damon Dawg.
That does sound nice, but I will say that in regards to your Gila weekend, that did hurt a little bit. When I was looking at the pictures, I was like, that's my family that I'm looking at right there. And yet there's just a Damon-sized hole and maybe even a Noah Wolbrick-sized hole missing in that photograph. I don't know.
Couldn't agree more.
Noah and Bo have been hanging out on the weekend, and they were together. I think they were together like a holiday weekend recently. And I just, Damon, I feel like the battle lines have been drawn not only for training camp, but this show in particular.
That's all right, Johnny. You always got a soldier in me. It's always Johnny and Damon versus Bo at the end of the day.
That's right. And it's always time to talk Cardinals here on PHNX Cardinals. And again, we've done training camp battles each of the last 2 seasons, but it's been, let's just call it what it is. It's been a wet fart because the team has not been good enough to have true training camp battles. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, the battles are us clamoring to ownership, the GM, like, please go sign some players so we can have some competition. Now this roster, it's loaded. Dare I say it's stacked, right, with a lot of young talent. And I think that's bad news for a lot of the key veterans that have been signed, acquired on this team in the past half decade. So Damon and I are going to go through, I believe we've got 10 position battles today, and we're going to get into the weeds here. And they're going to be players that, unfortunately, who may have been on this team for the last couple of years that are, not going to be here past August, right? The final 53, we got 3 preseason games to get to. And I'm going to start with a little bit of a curveball, Damon. We know the Cardinals, Kyler Murray's their guy, and then they went out and they signed Jacoby Brisset this offseason. They got serious with the backup position for the first time in Austin Fort's tenure. So the first camp battle that we have, it's Clayton Tune. Clayton Tune on pole position. Is there room for a third? Just like we talked about, is there room for a third with you at Gila with Bo Brock and I? Is there room for a third for Clayton Tune on this Arizona Cardinals roster? Jacoby Brissett's a lock. Certainly Kyler Murray is as well. Should the Cardinals carry 3 quarterbacks? So I'm going to tee it up to you, and then I'll give you my assessment of the situation here.
It feels like it's pretty 50-50 these days in the NFL, in my opinion, of like whether or not a team carries 3 quarterbacks or 2. Isn't the new rule like where you can have a third guy on the practice squad and potentially get him up? I think that with that rule being in place, I'm going to have to say that you probably don't have room for a third quarterback. I just don't think that really makes much sense when they have kind of an extra avenue to fielding a third guy at that position, and that roster spot could probably be better utilized elsewhere.
Yeah, Clayton Tune right now, his salary is set to be right around $1.1 million as a former 5th-round pick. And again, I feel bad. Anytime we talk about Clayton Tune, I feel bad because he was put in a situation that was basically a no-win. He had no opportunity to compete in that game against Cleveland. He was sacrificed to the Browns and Myles Garrett.
They were the number 1 defense in the NFL, I believe, at that time. And the Cardinals ran out a AA equivalent of an NFL team, and it ended about how you'd expect.
No doubt about it. And for me, he has been a stalwart. He did the tush push last year. It was a tough watch, but I think I don't think the Cardinals have failed Clayton Tune. I just think when you're a team, when your quarterback's coming off a torn up knee and the roster was the worst in the NFL and you're taking a developmental quarterback in the 5th round, that's tough. I think the Cardinals would have been better off. And you could always take a flyer on guys. I'm not saying that, but you would have been better off signing a veteran immediately, like a bridge to get Kyler Murray back and then just having that person be around like Colt McCoy did once upon a time. Then if you're going to add a developmental guy, with all due respect, make sure it's a guy who's got some juice, who's got a big arm that can move. We've seen those guys in the preseason. I was a kid this year that came out of Alabama, Jalen Milroe, who I thought fit that parameter. And again, the timeline's different now, but to me, he's got a big arm. He's inaccurate. and he's more mobile than people give him credit for. Here's where I'll push back. I'm not sure he's on the practice squad. And I don't have that source or anything, and he's a great kid. My assessment is if Kyler Murray, God forbid, were to go down and Jacoby Brisset would start, do you want Clayton Tune backing up Jacoby Brisset for like 3-4 weeks? God forbid. I think they're a better option because this team is ready to win. I think you need a third veteran that started games in the NFL. I think you need somebody else. And again, I don't know if you can stash that player on a practice squad or not. I think you need somebody else to come in and be an extension of Jacoby Brisset. And maybe, Damon, it's like they put Tune on the practice squad, Jacoby Brisset, your Kyler Murray goes down, you got Jacoby Brisset, and then they just sign somebody else like immediately because you don't sign a veteran in case Kyler Murray gets hurt. But I do think he makes the practice squad, but I don't think it's a lock he's their third quarterback.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there. I mean, I hear Skylar Thompson's available, so that's an option.
Intriguing.
But I do want to say that I feel that it does bear mentioning that Jacoby Brisset is like one of the most durable players probably in the NFL. The guy is an absolute tank. He's humongous. And like every time, I'm speaking from experience, like watching him play for the Dolphins, like every time you think that he takes a massive hit, and you're like, oh, that's going to be a rough one getting up from. He's up every time. So I feel comfortable with him being like holding only 2 quarterbacks because I just don't really see, knock on wood, Jacoby Brisset kind of losing that aspect of his game. I feel that he's pretty damn durable.
Like G. Willikers hits the nail on the head. Like you would rather have Tyler Huntley than Clayton Tune.
For sure.
There's no doubt about it. Like I'm going to read you some names here. You tell me if you'd rather have these players than Clayton Tune. Let's go. Jeff Driscoll, probably not. What about Mike White, former Dolphins quarterback Mike White?
Yeah, maybe.
Ben DiNucci? Ben DiNucci started games. He's played okay.
I don't know about that one.
I'll take Ben DiNucci.
I would too over Clayton Tune. DiNucci? Just for the headline. At that point, people say if like Kyler Murray goes down, cancel the season. That's in the chat from Jacob. If that happens, I want DiNucci in this locker room for the vibes, for just to be tolerable for the rest of the year. I need his agent around. I just need that to basically become a circus. That's what I would want.
Where's DeVito at right now? What's his deal?
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of DeVito. I'm not DiNucci and DeVito. I'm thinking are like the same person. Are they not?
No, they're different. I think DiNucci, wasn't he on the Seattle Sea Dragons? Was that
his
last stop?
Yeah, DiNucci played for the Cowboys. I'm thinking of DeVito. That's who I would want.
DeVito though is probably a cut candidate because they have 4 quarterbacks they're rostering right now, and it's Russ, Jameis, Jackson Dart, and DeVito. So we might be able to get our hands on a little Tommy D in the future.
That'd be great. And listen, this is just I hope Clayton Tune doesn't see this argument. I hope Clayton Tune and his family don't see this segment. Again, I think that he has been developed. And who knows, like a lot of it's up to Clayton Tune if he plays well in the preseason. He can force the issue and say, like, don't release me. Don't cut me to the practice squad. If you do, maybe somebody else can pick me up because I'm going to light people up in the preseason. We just haven't seen that happen yet. But this preseason, he's going to be running around with, I think, some quality like Kyler Murray's not going to play. Jacoby Brissett's going to take some reps. And then I would imagine Clayton Tune's going to play at least half of every game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think, you'll definitely see Clayton Tune get his opportunity in the preseason here. Right. And hopefully he does a little bit better than I think what he showed last preseason, because last preseason was pretty tough to get through with Desmond Ridder and Clayton Tune splitting snaps there. And hopefully this upcoming preseason is a little bit more fun and watchable. So that's where I think, honestly, Johnny, I'm starting to think that your whole Jalen Milroe agenda was derived from the fact that we have to do post-game shows and pre-game shows for our preseason games. And you wanted to be able to talk about an interesting quarterback for those events.
Now you're getting it. I want good vibes. Those Saturdays and Sundays. Yeah. We're going to have the best damn preseason pre and post-game shows you've ever seen in your life. They're going to be electric. Absolutely. DiNucci, DeVito, Donnie Donuts, great QBs. Absolutely. All right, so I think we're on the same page. I think practice squad, 1,000%. I don't think there's any way he's on the active roster, but I'll throw in the wrench that if they had to bring up another quarterback to be the backup. If Jacoby or K1 went down, they would need to go get somebody else, barring a huge leap in what we've seen from Tune thus far. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that for sure. Yeah, I'm not really expecting that leap though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do think that kind of is what he is. He's a mid-round quarterback. You know, from at the time a smaller, lower tier conference. They weren't in the Big 12 quite yet.
Yeah.
You know, I could see him maybe finding a home elsewhere, but I think honestly, I think that I find that he'll probably most likely be back on the practice squad. I think that's the most likely scenario.
Keeping it on the theme of the offense, we go to wide receiver, and we go to wide receiver 3, a contentious group with this fan base. Why didn't they draft one? Needed a free agent. I think they should have traded for Christian Kirk. They ran it back with a group last year that underwhelmed in terms of the entirety of the passing game. I don't want to put too much on the talent in the room. Right now, Greg Dortch is seated as wide receiver 3 on many presumed depth charts, and I think that's how it'll be when it opens up a couple weeks from now. Zay Jones, though, made headway at camp last year, had the suspension, had some moments from last year, but of course, Greg Dortch finished strong, was kind of featured in a couple games to end the year. I feel like every year we finish and it's like Greg Dortch deserves more targets, but this team was adamant. They went out and re-signed Zay Jones in free agency. They got Dortch's restricted free agent tender. So this is Dortch's probably last year with the team. This is an argument that I feel like is warranted, but it also, for me, Damon, falls on deaf ears because they don't run a lot of 3 receiver sets. Their third receiver is usually a tight end. Hell, their fourth receiver sometimes. They go 2 wideouts, 2 tight ends. So is this an argument like that doesn't matter? Is it based on personnel, or do you really believe like the number 3 receiver could be featured this year?
I just think with Trey McBride and how many targets he commands and deservedly commands, because he frankly is one of the most, efficient, I would say, pass targets in the entire NFL last season, and seems to be just a surging player, star player in general. So I just think with what you want to give Marv the share of, with what you're going to give Trey McBride the passing share of, I feel like almost Michael Wilson operates as that number 3, especially with how much the Cardinals and Drew Petzing like to run the football as well. So that's where I'm like, Greg Dortch is almost probably the least used or needed third wide receiver in the entire NFL because of those reasons.
He probably is pissed that he's restricted the last 2 years. He'd love to hit the market, maybe be able to show his talents in another offense. If we turn the clocks back to the slop that was week 18 last year, Michael Wilson didn't play. The leading receivers that day, Trey McBride had 65 yards against the Niners, and Marv had 63. Greg Dortch, though, had 47. Zay Jones had 46, but Dortch himself had 2 touchdowns that day. And so I think it's open. I also think there could be some packages this year where Zay Jones could go outside. Maybe Michael Wilson could slide underneath, maybe Marv. Like, here's what I will say about Zay Jones. It's like he's a true outside wide receiver. Cardinals don't have a ton of those. Whereas, like, you feel like you can make Dortch a little bit more interchangeable. He was used in the backfield 2 years ago. So Dortch has the better yak ability. We've seen he's almost like a running back with the ball in his hands in the open field. To me, I don't think it matters. I'll defer to Dortch to open camp, but if this offense hasn't evolved, it truly doesn't matter. But if this offense is evolved and you're like, oh wow, they really look competent with 3 wide receivers in there, I got to think it's going to be Greg Dortch getting more targets than Zay Jones.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I think Greg Dortch is probably going to be more used, but here's where I'll say that I think Zay Jones plays an almost different role than Greg Dortch, and I think you kind of alluded to it, is like, God forbid there's an injury to 2 players that were very healthy all season last season on the outside, and MHJ and Michael Wilson. Zay Jones all of a sudden is a very valuable piece to the team, because as far as replacement level backup wide receiver options, he's one of the better, I'd say, like, outlets for a team in the league, right? Like, he's a guy who has experience and he's played good football before for competent football teams as well, like the Bills, and I think he was decent on the Raiders as well. So Yeah, I mean, I think, Zay Jones, yeah, I could see him playing a more valuable role than Greg Dortch if there's an injury. But I think if everyone stays healthy like last season, Greg Dortch is probably more utilized.
Yeah. Again, like they didn't take a wide receiver in the draft. I think they had sniffed around Luther Burden in the second round before the Bears took him. I'm not saying they would have taken Luther Burden over Will Johnson, but like I think they considered it. But they were never going to take Matthew Golden in the first round. Tet McMillan was always wide receiver 1. He went in the top 10, your boy. So it's like you took Marv last year. Don't go sniffing around dating other wideouts until you make it work with the wideout that you have at home, right? I think that's an important lesson today. Damon.
What about Colston Loveland? Were the Cardinals sniffing around a little tight end action?
If it was up to Drew Petzing, hell yeah, brother. They would be all about that. No, they have enough tight ends. And they all play a lot, which is why they're not part of our discussion for training.
The Bears, not that he's Trey McBride, but the Bears do have Cole Kmet, who they drafted and used a big resource on, and immediately, seemingly said, "Hey, let's draft a tight end 10 and then a wide receiver at 42." Guys, aren't weapons our big problem here in Chicago?
How about the Chargers? Mike Williams retiring today, and they have it's like Ladd McConkey's going to go for like 1,500 yards this year. God help us if that happens.
How do you if you're the Chargers, how do you see that last year? I understood it last year. Hey, we're retooling. This isn't exactly the year we're going after it, but you draft Ladd, you see what you have in Ladd. How do you not go into this next season and say, hey, Justin Herbert probably needs another guy to throw the football to?
Quentin Johnson, mega bust. Even though he had like 700 yards last year, they drafted Trey Harris from Ole Miss.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know if he can play though. And then Amara and Hampton at running back. So we'll see. But we'll see about the Cardinals too on their offensive line as we keep things going here. Right tackle, point of contention last year. I disagree with the move to insert Jonah Williams back in the lineup after he got hurt. Does Jonah Williams fend off Kelvin Beachum this year? Now, Jonah Williams has been running with the ones. He has been semi-healthy. We'll see how that lower body injury he sustained against Carolina has held up. I don't think he had surgery this offseason. Kelvin Beachum, though, was re-signed, I think, with the notion that it's going to be an open competition. Here's what I will say. If Jonah Williams gets hurt again and Kelvin Beachum comes in, they're not putting Jonah Williams back in the lineup when he's healthy. So let me just start by like that. You had an opportunity to do that last year because Jonah was presumed to be a better player, younger, more expensive, got the big free agent deal. Kelvin Beachum was playing good football. Like, think about when Jonah Williams came back. It was when the Cardinals began their 2-5 stretch, and the offense wasn't the same. And again, individual metrics would suggest that Jonah played well. The continuity on the offensive line matters so much. You don't want to change those guys out. The last time we saw Kelvin Beachum consistently play, they were beating the holy hell out of the Jets and the Chicago Bears. I would not have made the change. I would love to see an open competition this offseason. I think they will defer to Jonah Williams initially. Hey, Jonah Williams, week 1 against New Orleans, you better be kicking ass against a no-name New Orleans Saints front seven. If not, put Grandpa back in there, because I think Cardinal fans are very cynical to big free agents that don't produce. Fool me once, like this is your second chance and your final chance.
Yeah. I mean, I think Kelvin Beachum, I understand what you're saying. I think last year, maybe in hindsight, especially, like that might have turned out to be the correct decision. Kelvin Beachum did seem like he was playing like in pretty good form when he actually got the opportunity to get some meaningful snaps in. But I think going into this year, ideally your highest ceiling O-line probably is Jonah Williams instead of Kelvin Beachum. For sure. And for that reason, you try out Jonah Williams, but you know that you have that safety valve of Kelvin Beachum to fall back upon. But ultimately, I said this to you right before we started the show, I think that it's pretty clear that that's the direction the Cardinals will target in the first round next year. Yeah. And that neither of these guys is really the set in stone staple of this team. Like, I think that that's for sure what you'd earmark as like biggest need for the long term going into the next draft.
No doubt about it. And again, I think they would have loved to have taken a tackle this year, but Walter Nolen was staring them in the face. They weren't going to take what's his name from Ohio State that was injured and that Simmons. Was not ready to play. Yeah, they were not going to take him. That was a trade down option. That was like a break glass in case of emergency. They were gifted Walter Nolen, who we're going to talk about here in a bit. Kelvin Beachum last year played almost 800 snaps, almost 750. Gave up 4 sacks, respectable PFF grade of 64, but he was one of the best pass blocking offensive tackles in the NFL last year, 75 grade. Okay, compare that to Jonah Williams, who had a better grade, 70 overall, but he only played 343 snaps. So again, Jonah, when he played, was fine, was good enough. Got to play, got to be consistent. And again, like the Cardinals are going to be playing what equates to a first-year right guard in Isaiah Adams. Like Jonah Williams, that continuity is going to be important for him. He needs to have a consistent presence to the right of him. He'll have Yelda on the left-hand side, but I mean, I think Jonah Williams, you're getting a one and done, because if I know Jonathan Gannon, there ain't no way you're pulling a steady right tackle again for year 2. You just, if you got a good thing going, you just got to ride it.
Yeah, this offensive line has been a good unit under Jonathan Gannon, and I think that he's put the right people in place. Obviously, you have a new offensive line coach in the building, so some things are changing, but I also am pretty confident in Drew Petzing and his ability to vet an O-line coach, and I think that that's probably, like, we've talked about it plenty of times, like that might be his best quality, is his ability to keep K1 protected and Kyler Murray healthy for the healthiest portion of his career thus far. Knock on wood again, but I just think that, I'm comfortable with this offensive line in general, despite whoever wins this camp battle, but this is for sure the position that you need to earmark is like, maybe we need to question it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to tease this next one because I think it's one of the biggest discussions, arguments of the Cardinal roster. And it's the defensive line. That's coming up on PHNX Cardinals. But before we get to that, let me tell you about our friends at Phoenix Raceway. Championship weekend is upon us. We are so fired up. Again, presenting sponsor today. If you've been in Phoenix long enough, you've seen what it is when it comes together. NASCAR Championship, Phoenix Raceway. It is one of one in terms of a sporting event to see live. Again, if you're a NASCAR fan, you get best access in sports, a small ticket upgrade, and you're in the Desert Diamond Casino infield experience up close in the garage. You're meeting drivers. You're walking the track. I mean, this is a tremendous value. It's the best value in sports, hands down. And to make things even better, it all goes down again at Phoenix Raceway, October 31st through the 2nd. Hell of a weekend. After a grueling season that started in February, it all comes down to this, a weekend of pure adrenaline. I'm going to tell you right now, don't miss your chance to witness NASCAR Championship weekend in person. Coming to Phoenix Raceway, October 31st through November 2nd. Tickets for Sunday's Cup Series Championship race, they sell it every year, so get them right now. And here's the kicker. NASCAR is taking Championship weekend on the road starting in 2026. So this is your last chance to catch it in Phoenix for a good long while. Again, get your tickets right now, phoenixraceway.com, Damon.
Yeah, I had so much fun out at Phoenix Raceway when we went and did some content out there for PHNX Sports last year. And it's absolutely just a total vibe. But one thing that's not a vibe sometimes is how damn hot it is in this state, especially in the summertime, like right about now. And one thing that is even worse about the heat, right, is that you have to keep it nice and cool in your house all the time. You got to keep that AC down, and that AC bill goes the opposite direction. That's where APS comes in.
That's right.
You get a smart thermostat installed in your house for as low as $0. And the smart thermostat is very simple. You get an app on your phone. You can control the temperature during the off hours, save as much money as possible, turn the heat up in your house when no one's home, turn it down an hour before you're going to get back home so that you're saving as much money as possible, but not experiencing having a hot house that's unlivable, right? So that's going to be the APS guarantee that they're giving you here. And right now, APS customers may be eligible for smart thermostats for as low as $0 when you enroll in the APS Cool Rewards program. If you already have a smart thermostat at home, see if it's eligible to enroll in Cool Rewards. Plus, free install is available at marketplace.aps.com. Must be an APS customer and pay shipping and taxes. Other restrictions apply. Go to marketplace.aps.com for more information.
We have the best sponsors. We also have the best fans. I want to highlight a little message here, and it's not Cardinal specific, but it is PHNX Sports adjacent. Let's get Girth Jr. on the screen here. He says, I owe Johnny an apology. He was right about everything he's ever said about Kevin Durant.
Wow.
Earlier today,
wow,
our own Eric from PHNX Suns, nice subtle comment about Hey, changing the culture. And then you got that fraud Kevin Durant coming into Eric's messages publicly, and they went back and forth. And I think Big Kev's kind of showing his true colors. So thank you, Girth, for being a bigger man than Kevin Durant is by admitting this.
That was pretty wild today, Johnny. And what's even wilder to me, and I was talking about this a little bit earlier in the office with Kevin Thomas, my co-host on AZ Wildcats pod, but the idea that there's like a bunch of people running around right now, like as like they're using it as like some sort of victory lap that like KD like owned Mr. Eric Ruby. And I'm sitting there and it's like blowing my mind because I want to get on Eric and rib Eric a little bit more than anybody. I would love to be like, I think I did in the past, literally when KD responded to Eric. I think I literally responded to KD and said like, own that freak or something like that. And Eric, of course, thought it was in good nature, but this time I was literally blown away by the responses that I was seeing. The whole point of what Eric was saying is that there was no culture. So it's time to
the Suns were unwatchable. They stunk. They were terrible.
KD asks, he said what culture, like, and that's like supposed to be some big own. Isn't that kind of Eric's point? There was no culture. And in order to find a culture, you had to retool and find a new identity as a team. And I feel like the people that are acting like that's an unreasonable take are crazy people.
I am not always right. Clearly, we're all human. We all make mistakes. I've been wrong about countless Cardinal draft busts. Talk myself into Beanie Wells and Josh Rosen. I feel like my fraud alert is pretty sound though. And I feel like Kevin Durant, after about 18, 24 months, it was like, this dude, you're not winning anything with this guy. When you're his age, arguing with people on Twitter, and it's like, I don't care how many points you scored last year. It's just not winning basketball.
Leave that to me and Johnny. Leave the arguing on Twitter to guys like me and Johnny. You go focus on trying to put together a winning basketball team, brother.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Every time he does it, he embarrasses himself. And again, like, when his play continues to deteriorate, and this is what you can do that when you're winning championships fraudulently with the stacked Warriors, but like you go to Brooklyn, blows up, Phoenix now blows up. Like, does anybody think it's going to work in Houston? We will see. I appreciate everybody watching the show with our guy Damon Dawg today. Drop a like. Again, get us to 350 likes here on a training camp preview Thursday, and we continue to preview training camp. Position battles with the Arizona Cardinals, probably the most loaded position battle on the team. Who would have guessed it? Is the defensive line. The Cardinals, of course, brought in this offseason Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, Walter Nolen. They've got Darius Robinson. I'm putting those players off to the side because they ain't going nowhere. And I'm looking at what's left, what's remaining, right? Last year, the Arizona Cardinals carried 6 defensive linemen, okay? I think they're going to carry 7 this year. So assuming that, who will take up the final 3 spots and who will be out? Or excuse me, the final 2 spots. So we'll go 6. So if they have to cut 3 guys, who do they cut? Bilal Nichols, Justin Jones, Dante Stills, LJ Collier, and then our sweet baby Elijah Simmons, the undrafted monster from Tennessee, who I've not seen him play a lick of pro football, but I want him to succeed in the worst possible light. Damon, I will defer to you. We've got 4 players that aren't going anywhere. We got 2 spots and 5 guys left. Who's getting them?
I can't help but think that Dante Stills is my leader in the clubhouse, at least.
Okay,
I know he's not as highly paid as Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols. I know you have to eat a little bit of money on getting rid of either one of those guys, but I just feel that, you know, the fit, what was he, a 5th, 6th rounder out of West Virginia 2 drafts ago? Monty brought him in, so he's a Monty Austinfort guy. And I feel like given his age and production level, especially from a pass rush standpoint, he's a pretty solid interior pass rusher. It seems like, I don't know. I feel like that he is more valuable than the other 2 in front of him on this list. The other ones, I think I can kind of be talked into. I think ideally you want to see Elijah Simmons win it, right? Because of the youth movement. But I'm going Dante Stills as my guy there that I would like to see most win one of those 2 spots.
I think that's an easy box to check. I think the only way he doesn't make this team, because you're right, 4.5 sacks last year, and he's been asked to like be the guy. Imagine like Dante Stills on a pitch count with good players around him. Like, what can he do, right? I think that's an easy yes. He's 25 years old. He's making no money. He was drafted, as you mentioned, by Austin Ford. So we'll put him off to the side. Again, I think the only way he's not on the team is if they trade him in a package because they have a surplus. He has value. Maybe they go out and they get a player that they need. And I don't know what that would be. I think the roster is pretty much set right now. But if they wanted to go out and splurge on maybe an edge rusher or somebody like that, this is the most extreme example, is if Trey Hendrickson, if that came back into fruition, and we'll talk about the Bengals being a disaster on the show later. If you had to throw something of value to Cincinnati, right? Like maybe that's him. Maybe it's him and Elijah Jones in a pick. So he's only trending up in my mind. Let's look at the rest of this group if we could, Noah, man. There's no way Bilal Nichols is making this team. With all due respect to him, I don't care what he's owed. It's not that much money. It's the last year of his contract. He wasn't healthy for OTAs. He was not good last year. He was up and down with his injury. I'm putting him off to the side. I don't think he's got a shot to make this team. Could be wrong, but as of right now, I would peg him the easiest to put off to the side. So then go ahead.
He wasn't very good, I don't think, honestly, before the Cardinals signed him, to be honest with you. Justin Jones' profile a little bit better, but last season, PFF had him as a 39.6 grade, 197th out of 219 eligible interior defensive linemen. It's obviously pretty atrocious. And yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that deal. We talked about obviously the entire year how it felt like Monty kind of, paid a premium on like extremely average football players, and Bilal Nichols might even be a little bit below average. So yeah, I think that if you're keeping him for money reasons alone, when you have available cap like the Cardinals do, where they could eat a little bit, I think that's a sign of not being serious. And I don't think that Jonathan Gannon and Monty Austin-Ford are not serious about winning.
So then you look at the final three players. I'm going to say Elijah Simmons is a practice squad player right now. And again, if he explodes in the preseason and you're like, if we cut him, he's going to get gobbled up, then you keep him. Okay. So I'm working under the impression that he is not kept, but is practice squad week one. And then you develop him, throughout the course of the year. So that leaves Justin Jones and LJ Collier. And I think it will be Justin Jones as of now. And that's not just because of how much money he makes. He can play that three technique, or the one technique, I should say, behind Dalvin Tomlinson. Whereas Collier is projected more like the guys that we're not talking about, Darius and Walter Nolen, Calais. But LJ Collier re-signed really early in the offseason. So he must feel like he's got a pretty good shot to make this team. But poor LJ, he had a really good year last year for the Cardinals, considering what they had to work with. Then the Cardinals go out and they get Dalvin Tomlinson and Calais and Walter Nolen. It's like, did he sign too quickly? So LJ Collier is going to be on somebody's roster this year. Justin Jones, it's a big training camp for him. We're going to have to go and watch training camp with our eyes, and he needs to make plays. And if not, they will cut him. And there are snark fanboys on Twitter, not the good kind of fanboys, but the snarks on Twitter. They're like, well, it benefits the Cardinals none to cut he and Bilal Nichols because they've got dead money. The Cardinals have almost $40 million in cap space. They don't care about dead money. Also, Monty Austin-Ford is not making the decisions of who to cut. If Jonathan Gannon's like, LJ Collier is outproducing Justin Jones, cut his ass, then they will cut him. They're not keeping him. Justin Jones is a backup at best anyway. Guess what? Monty Austin-Ford already admitted he made a mistake with those signings, because what did he do this offseason? He added 3 defensive tackles. So it's already been decided. Now it's just up to Justin Jones. Are you going to be a backup, or are you going to be cut? Or are you going to go to another team? So the snark around the cap implications, they don't give two shits about that. They care about what is the best 53. Now, I think Justin Jones has some upside rush in the passer, but Damon, he's got to be a hell of a lot better than what he was last year.
Yeah, and I think that Justin Jones has shown some flashes in the past for the Bears in particular.
Right. Can he be that
was
player?
A solid NFL football player, better than Bilal Nichols, at least in my opinion, from knowing not a ton about them before the Cardinals got them, but from looking back at their stats as well. I think that it's got to be between Justin Jones and LJ Collier. LJ Collier, he was a pretty high profile prospect, right? Like he does have some talent in there.
He's a first-round pick.
Yeah, and if the Cardinals feel like there's maybe some untapped potential, I think you could argue that maybe the ideal scenario is LJ Collier sticks around and he finds a little bit more of that and continues to maybe get a little bit better. But he was also kind of replaceable last season. Ultimately, I don't think that this move is like backbreaking in either direction, but I'm hoping Dante Stills out of that group is for sure one of the locks.
Yeah. It's a good conversation just because like none of these guys are going to be starting for you, and that's okay. Whereas like all these guys would have been starters for you the last 2 years. Hell, they would have been better in some instances of what you had. So I'm with you. I think we'll go with Dante Stills and Justin Jones right now, and of course they got to produce. It's interchangeable. Speaking of interchangeable, let's go. We know Josh Sweaty J and the boys. He signed this offseason. He will start presumably at one of the defensive end edge rusher spots. The other one, though, I mean, depending on who you talk to, it's up for grabs. Let's take a look. The edge rushing group opposite Sweaty J for the Arizona Cardinals. It consists of Baron Browning, B.J. Ojulari, and Jordan Burch, the third-round pick out of Oregon. Now, again, Ojulari was projected last year by the coaching staff to have a big season, double-digit sacks, and then he tore his ACL, and he's still not healthy. Baron Browning was traded for during the year. Damon remembers that trade deadline show well. It was very underwhelming, right? Even today, I got to pull this up and give this person credit. Even today, somebody added me on Twitter. It was Carlos on Twitter. The fastest get-off time in the NFL, Baron Browning, according to Next Gen Stats of ESPN, was 5th in the NFL. And I think the Cardinals see that, and they like what they see. The only problem with Baron Browning is I don't care how fast you get off. Like, you don't make disruptive plays. And now I'm not just talking about sacks. I'm like, can you hit a quarterback's arm? Can you force a ball out quickly? Like Baron Browning, can we just call a spade here? Where was he against Sam Darnold in the fourth quarter against the Vikings? Where was he against Geno Smith in crunch time? Where was he against Matthew Stafford? Like, I am willing to give Baron Browning here the benefit of the doubt because the Cardinals brought him in this offseason and gave him a 2-year contract. Okay, so it's like, okay, Baron Browning, can you come in and be productive on a suddenly loaded defensive line? So I will give him the starting edge right now, but I think it's a very limp hold on this group that, frankly, the two guys behind him are more talented.
Yeah, the two guys behind him are ideally, you want to see those guys take over, but this is probably the most interesting group for me out of all the ones that we're doing because I think I like all of these three players and their profiles moving forward, even Baron Browning. And Baron Browning, I know that you're not going to want to hear this, Johnny, but he feels like one of those players that maybe the Cardinals organization and Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis value more than like you and the fan base might value, because like he's and PFF likes him a lot, at least from a pass rushing standpoint. They think he's like one of the better pass rushing edge rushers in the league. And that grades out pretty consistently over the last few years here. He gets a lot of pressures, right? Isn't that what Jonathan Gannon said to you in the interview?
Yeah, when I was like, what about sacks?
Pressures over sacks. And that's what some people feel, right? And I think if you're going off of pressures, that's his best attribute is his forcing, his causing of pressures. If you look on his statistical profile, pressures are by far the thing that he's like closest to like the top of the league in. Whereas like the rest of it, like sacks, he's like in the triple digits, right? Because he finished with like 2 sacks last season or whatever it was. So yeah, he's not really finishing moves, but I do think that there's something there with that guy. Yeah. I think you would hope that either B.J. Ojulari or Jordan Burch or both are better than him, at least in the long term.
One name not on this list, Zaven Collins. I just think Zaven is a run defender. He could be listed as a starter. He's not an option, in my opinion, on third down. Like we're talking like third down. You're trying to win with 4. Who are you putting out there? Sweat, and then I'm with you. I think Browning will be the guy initially, and then if Ojulari's like looking good by Halloween, then you can sample there. Jordan Burch eventually. The idea is for him to eventually take over, but this is also a group next year in the draft. Like if there's a stud in the first round and they fall to you, like that's a position that the Cardinals can look at. The good news for this group is they got like this has been one of the worst groups in the NFL last year. So the last 2 years. So there's nowhere to go but up. And Browning, to me, again, he came into a group last year where it was like save the defensive line. Now it's like there could be sets where like Browning's your worst defensive lineman, and that's a good thing. Like if Baron Browning's your worst defensive lineman, then you got a shot.
Yeah, I think Collins and Browning kind of match up together well in that regard, where Browning is almost entirely a pass rush specialist. You don't really want him out there on early downs, and Zaven's vice versa. So maybe those guys can get and find a nice little rotation between the two of them, but it's hard to always sub off and sub on because teams try to avoid allowing you to do that very constantly. But yeah, I mean, I like all these players. I'll be interested to watch how this edge rusher group kind of rounds out into form. But yeah, I think that it could be like one of the biggest differences from last year to this year of any position group in the NFL. And will speak wonders of how much better this defense will perform and how much better these DBs will look having a confident pass rush in front of them.
Buckle up. Around the corner, Damon and I are going to give our predictions. Does Cody Simon start as a rookie? That's coming up. But first, Damon's going to tell us about our friends at Pure Edibles, Damon Dawg.
Yeah, absolutely. Pure Edibles is available at over 130 dispensaries here in the great state of Arizona. And if you guys are not familiar with their game yet, let me inform you. They have the gummies. They have the Kicks, which is their version of Starburst. They have chews, like soft candies. Essentially, they have caramel versions, chocolate, you name it. And they, of course, have hard candies for maybe our little bit more esteemed of individuals that enjoy a hard candy from time to time. But Pure Effects are clearly listed on each tin, whether you're looking for something to help aid your sleep or maybe give you some uplifting effects. They got it all. And they offer unique cannabinoids such as CBN, CBG, CBD, and marijuana-derived THC, a company that was started in Flagstaff, Arizona, and is now based out of Phoenix. Like I said, they're available in over 130 dispensaries. Johnny, I looked it up the other day. There are 171 dispensaries in this state. So if you're not at one of the 130 plus that offer Pure Edibles, maybe go find yourself a new dispensary and go find some Pure Edibles products at over the 130 dispensaries across Arizona.
Big thanks to our friends at Pure Edibles. Perfect combination is our friends at Circle K. Join the Inner Circle for free right now by downloading the Circle K app today. Meal deal matrix. This sounds tremendous. $3 meal deal, hot dog, Frito-Lays, Polar Pop, 44 ounces. How about a $4 meal deal, Damon Dawg? Breakfast Sammy, hash brown, medium coffee, Polar Pop up to 44 ounces. That'll get you. That'll set you straight. $5 meal deal, 2 slices of za, not one but 2. Any 20-ounce soda or Polar Pop, 44 ounces. I mean, that's just a lot of food. I'm talking right now. You could conceivably get, if I'm doing my math correctly, $12 is going to get you a hot dog, a breakfast sandwich, a hash brown, chips, 2 slices of za, and 3 drinks. Hello, join the Inner Circle for free. It's calling your name right now. It's unbelievable. That's like a Thanksgiving dinner for a lot of us. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. That's an incredible amount of food for $12.
Dude, producer Noah was talking about how hungry he was before the show, Johnny.
Yeah.
You just started running that off, and the guy is practically salivating back there. He can't wait to hit up Circle K and maybe get a couple slices of za in him.
I'm pretty sure this costs almost $12. I don't know that definitively. My wife brought it to me, but I'm pretty sure that's how much this costs. How much does it cost to bring back Kyzir White? Well, the Cardinals didn't like what they saw and pivoted to a different direction, unfortunately. Kyzir White remains unsigned this offseason. He'll sign during training camp, but the Arizona Cardinals are going with a youth movement, and it's headlined by 4th-round pick Cody Simon. The Cardinals brought Simon in the top of the 4th round, of course, the tremendous off-ball linebacker for the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. Can he fend off perennial backup special teamer Akeem Davis-Gaither? Now, traditionally, I would say this is a slam dunk for Cody Simon to win the job immediately. However, Davis-Gaither was signed by the Arizona Cardinals early in the offseason. He got a multi-year deal. He's only 27. And Damon, this is a franchise, a coaching staff that has made things work with far less talent, specifically Rollis and Gannon's time in Philadelphia. What they did with Kyzir White, what they did with TJ Edwards, what they've done with Mack Wilson Sr. So I ask you, week 1 against New Orleans, who is starting opposite Mack Wilson Sr.? Davis Gaither, or Cody Simon?
I'm gonna go with Cody Simon if you're putting a gun to my head here, which I know you are. But Akeem Davis Gaither is not a bad player.
No.
So I think that, if things go to plan, Cody Simon is your starter, right? And Davis Gaither is almost a perfect third linebacker to play sparingly, and he is a pretty good. He seems like he's decent against the pass in particular, and he's played some big games for the Bengals. Not that the Bengals have sported good defenses over the last few years, but I don't mind that option. I just think that Cody Simon, he has so much experience playing at a high level of college football. He was the play caller for Ohio State. He won defensive MVP of the national championship.
Yeah.
I think when you start listing all those accolades, we're just talking about kind of different caliber of football players, it almost feels like. And hopefully Cody Simon can kind of just take hold of that position and make it his for the foreseeable future.
I think it'd be disappointing if Cody Simon's not the starter before the end of the year. And again,
Yeah.
Akeem Davis Gaither signed a free agent deal. He was in Cincinnati on one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year. And it wasn't his fault, but he was a backup on that team. Lou Anarumo's guy. I think the Cardinals, if Akeem Davis Gaither is like your third linebacker and just a standout special teamer, like that's fine. You didn't pay him a lot of money, and you can have, like, they need good special team players, right? So Cody Simon was not drafted to play special teams, in my opinion. He was drafted to eventually become the heir apparent to Kyzir White. And I just think the guy who was calling that defense for Ohio State, and I know it was loaded with, first and second round picks, but like, this is what the good franchises do. Like Fred Warner, mid-round pick, right? Navarro Bowman, like, this is not Steve Keim approach. Let's just take freak athletes in the first round and have them play off-ball linebacker. Take off-ball linebackers in the middle rounds from big programs that have experience doing it. And guess what? They'll probably be able to do it for you. I will also add, like, you don't want to pay off-ball linebackers big money. So if the clock is ticking to play Cody Simon, probably you should play him right now, right? So yeah. I used to always compare off-ball linebackers and running backs. It's like, play them early and often. It's one of the, this is no disrespect, it's one of the easiest positions to translate to the NFL. And then you run them ragged, linebackers and running backs, and then you either franchise them or you let them go. And it's like, Cody Simon's ready to play now. He doesn't need to sit for 18 months wondering if he can tackle. As long as he does not look like a liability and can absorb the playbook, he was an all academic All-American. I'm with everybody who's on this page. He will start for this team. They can afford to have some miscues early when you're playing the Carolinas and you're playing the New Orleans and the slop Tennessees. You can play a rookie fourth rounder, because the upside then with Cody Simon is when you're playing the elites at the end of the year, you're getting his hopefully best level of play. Don't insert him in November and say, hey, can you help us win the NFC West? It's like, let him take his licks around Mack Wilson, veteran, Josh Sweat, veteran, Baron Browning, veteran, and then learn on the fly. That's the best way for him to learn. Yeah.
Cody Simon, I mean, he was elite against the run at Ohio State. And I feel like he kind of figures into that Kyzir White prototypical old school middle linebacker role that the Cardinals seem to want to employ, right? Because Mack Wilson can be a little bit more of a versatile chess piece. He's a good pass rusher and very, very athletic. But I feel like Cody Simon kind of plays that run stopping Kyzir White role that, in the void that's been left with Kyzir White out the door, better than an Akeem Davis Gaither does, who is more of a special teams kind of ace player. So yeah, I mean, I think Cody Simon is the future of this position. And I love the idea, like you're saying, of premium positions. Like, he's going to be making almost no money as a fourth round inside linebacker pick. And if that guy turns out to be a serviceable linebacker, even if he's average and Jonathan Gannon and co make him look average, but really, like, he'll go elsewhere and maybe not play at that same level. Like, you're winning as the Cardinals, getting league average play out of a guy making, $1.1 million or whatever he's making.
It's how championships are won, folks. Like,
yeah,
I had this conversation with Espo yesterday. It's like Isaiah Adams had a presser yesterday, got no traction. Cardinals have never had an interior offensive lineman that they've developed and extended in my adult life. It's like, let's get this free agent slop. Let's overpay on Mike Iupati for a year so we can break down after 18 months. It's like, this is how good teams do it, right? for every Marv and Trey McBride, you got to have these kind of guys to contribute, and they've never done that before. We continue our discussion. We round it out with the secondary. Cornerback, is it Will Johnson's time to shine? That's up next. Now it's the time to shine with our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Wild Horse Pass. By the way, I was there this weekend. It was phenomenal. The pool scene there, I don't know if you've seen the pool, Damon. It is first class, 5 stars. It is one of the biggest open water pools I've ever seen. My kids loved it. Super family friendly, but the vibes are immaculate. So if you don't want to be around kids, it's enormous. They have 3 pools in total. The main one is fantastic. They've got a cabana outside. They're doing foods. They're doing drinks. It's like, if you're in the mood for a staycation in Arizona, this is the place to do. The rooms are reasonably priced. They've got suites all the way down to standard bedrooms. And then we went to your boy, Don Shula, A Shula Steakhouse at the top rooftop. Fantastic. The little steak, the little appetizers. Kids had a great time. So again, if you're in the area, check out our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. And by the way, we're going to be there for our watch parties with BetMGM Sportsbook, the largest sportsbook casino in Arizona. We're going to be back there this fall. We may even get Damon out for some games this year, some watch parties. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
I'm actually fired up to be able to attend the watch parties and like actually talk to people, because mostly I've had to like kind of scour in my corner and be on the computer and do work. But I'm fired up for some Cardinals football this fall. And one thing that I also might have the ability to go do, Johnny, is use game time to go find me some Cardinals tickets and head out to State Farm Stadium for a game or two this year. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Guys, Game Time is the absolute best place to buy last-minute tickets. I was doing that when I was in San Diego a couple weekends ago, getting some Padres tickets, which Petco is my favorite park to go to if you haven't been. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I waited until the absolute last minute, and then I got nice terrace level seats, our own subsection of concession stands.
Damn.
It was an unbelievable time, and I got them for the lowest price point possible because I used Game Time, and I did it at the last minute. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Get Cardinals at D-backs this weekend. $34 going to get you into Chase Field.
Are you going to go to any of those games, John?
I don't know. It's hot. I need somebody to go with me. But yeah, Morgan Wallen, 129. Bo's a big fan of his. I'm not familiar with his music.
Darren Waller's cousin.
Yeah. Billie Eilish coming to town in November. Chris Brown, Chris Stapleton at Desert Diamond Arena.
Wow.
That's fantastic. My son's really excited at Mullet. SmackDown.
Oh yeah.
October. He's already gearing up for SmackDown. So lots of good deals with our friends at Game Time.
Yeah, there's always events happening in the Valley, and those are some good concerts that you just named there. Maybe a Darren Waller concert would go kind of crazy here in the Valley. Have you heard some of those tunes?
I have. Yeah, they might have to give those tickets away. Absolutely.
See how much John Gruden loved it too.
Yeah.
In the video, he's like fired up. He's like, let's do it again. One more time.
We got so much stuff to talk about, but we're going to rip on Shemar Stewart. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit, but let's talk the final position group, of course, the secondary, and we're kicking things off in overtime here on PHNX Cardinals. We're going into OT. That's right. To talk about the secondary. Again, welcome to our many streaming partners. Jumping on and go PHNX.com. Again, become a diehard today. I'm diehard about Will Johnson. No Sean Murphy Bunting, which we alluded to throughout the spring if people picked up the tea that we were dropping. So this is a pretty, I think, with all due respect, easy camp position via our friends at Pole Position. Will Johnson, Startling Thomas for that final outside corner spot. Garrett Williams underneath, and of course Max Melton on the other side. To me, Will Johnson would have to miss time because of injury not to have that spot, Damon.
I hope so, Johnny. I actually could see the Cardinals, though, pulling something where Startling Thomas is the starter. I don't know why I have that feeling inside of me, but I have agreed with what your opinion in the past of if Will Johnson truly has some degenerative knee problem, then you need to play him immediately.
Correct.
And use him for the years that he does have available to him in his career. So I certainly hope it's Will Johnson for sure, but I just feel like they really, really like and trust Startling Thomas. And, you know, this is one of those coaching staffs that they like finding guys that are, you know, kind of undervalued, especially DBs, and turning them into good players and you know, fixtures of their team. Ultimately, I think both of these guys play a lot because you need multiple corners on your team. But yeah, I think Will Johnson probably is the starter. I'm not sure it's as set in stone as maybe a lot of people might think.
Absolutely. Again, Startling Thomas, first man off the bench, not a bad place to be. Let's kick it into the last battle, which I don't think will be a battle initially. And that's that's Rabbit Taylor Demerson versus Jalen Thompson. Jalen Thompson had a down year last year, was injured, one of the highest paid players on the team. 2 years ago, he was their defensive MVP. Rabbit Taylor Demerson, if he played last year, though, I contend, Damon, may have been the most impressive rookie in their class. He just unfortunately was looking at a depth chart that had two savvy veterans on it.
Yeah.
Taylor Demerson's going to play a lot this year. I don't know if there'll be a scenario in which he like outright beats out Jalen Thompson for a starting job, but if they unleash this kid during preseason, he will make negative plays. He will take the ball away. He is so athletic, and I believe he is their best true cover safety for a defense that was allergic to taking the ball away last year. You have to get 42 on the field. Nick Rawls' eyes lit up when I brought him up this offseason at the Combine. This is a cop-out. I think this is just like, you almost just have to platoon these guys. Whatever Jalen Thompson does better right now, lean into that. But then Taylor Demerson, like third down, yes, please. That's where he needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously love Rabbit Taylor Demerson and how efficiently he seems to make plays every time he gets any amount of playing time. But we saw in the last preseason, you mentioned like you expect him to make plays in this preseason. Last preseason, he was probably the most impressive rookie that we saw. And I would expect more of the same. I think long term, he figures to be a big piece of this team. But I also think that, again, I also think that part of what I'm saying about with Startling Thomas, I think there's almost a respect factor for Jalen Thompson. And they really, I think, like Jalen Thompson as a professional and as a player and think he's a good player. And so I'm really more interested to see how many three safety packages they utilize, especially because Buddha is not really a traditional safety in the way that like you want him patrolling the deep parts of the field. You kind of want him closer to the line of scrimmage. And Rabbit, you could argue you would want a little bit of him closer to the line of scrimmage too, because he seems to make some great tackles. So yeah, I think I'm of the opinion of let's see a lot of three safety packages more than, you know, who's truly the starter between these two guys.
Buddha's an enforcer at the line of scrimmage. I also think like there could be scenarios in which like maybe Buddha's like close to Mac Wilson Sr. In the box, right? A true box safety. And
Noah's dying back here at that last classy nasty comment. He can't help himself.
It's a dog eat dog world, cannibal dog. Love it. Well, we're gearing Noah up for this chat during the regular season. It's just, frankly, it's on a different level right now. We get into the season. It's cutthroat here.
Yeah. Draft season gets pretty nasty as well. Especially when you have hosts and co-hosts fighting with each other about things. Yeah.
We eased him in at the peak of the offseason. We said, you just dip your toe in, Noah. And I think he's settled in quite nicely, if I do say so myself. But starting next week, it's game time, my friend. Not just game time with the app, but game time in our chat, because it gets ruthless. Got to put some people in timeout.
I'll tell you what's going to be ruthless is week 1 in New Orleans. And can you still sign up for that trip, by the way?
You absolutely can with our friends at Bird Gang Travel. Absolutely. You can also still sign up right now for our pickleball tournament. Yeah, there's our road trip to New Orleans. Reserve your spot today.
I'm so sick that I will not be here, but it's going to be an absolute banger of a time. I already know that. And the guys at Bird Gang Travel, they have all the itinerary worked out.
We've got everything worked out. A week from Saturday, Bo and I will be at the pickleball tournament. I don't know if there's a spot for us to play, but I will be screwing around, not in my skivvies, but I will be screwing around with a pickleball paddle. Let's have a drink. Let's hang out. Let's get an appetizer. I'm looking to have maybe some nachos, maybe some wings, Damon, at the best pickleball tournament event we do every single year. Proceeds go to Big Brothers Big Sisters. Training camp's later that day. So it's like the perfect time. Go out to Glendale, hang out the pickleball tournament, play a couple rounds of pickleball, and then go over to Glendale, watch the practice. We're going to have full breakdown of training camp that day. So I told my family, I'm like, I love you guys. See you never, because it's a PHNX sports kind of day.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely electric, Johnny. I chicken and pickle has great food. That's the underrated part about chicken and pickle. They brine the chicken in pickle juice.
Yeah.
I tried it myself at home. It was delicious. It was unbelievable.
When I brought my dad to that, because it's a compound. When I brought him to the compound complex at Chicken and Pickle, he was blown away. He's only used to, mundane, mediocre setups in the Midwest to play pickleball. It's just, it's a special thing we're gifted here in the Valley. Guess what's not special? Speaking of mundane in the Midwest, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Bungles. Shemar Stewart, by the way, has not signed his contract yet. And this has been reported. This is aggregated by ML Football Fraud, but this has been all over the Twitter streets. First-round pick Shemar Stewart left the team and went back to practicing with Texas A&M. Never been down worse, have the Bengals. Stewart may now opt to not play in the NFL season and return to A&M and re-enter the draft in 2026. Now, he can't go back and play college football, but he can work out all year like Jamar Chase did. Shemar has been practicing with the Aggies all summer. So you might just practice with the Aggies and just not play. And then I guess this has to be done by early August, or it's that's it. And then he's going to re-enter and they'll be toast. They're also dealing with the Trey Hendrickson negotiation that's laughable. And just, we're all laughing at you, Cincinnati. So I know people are putting this on Cincinnati. I also just think Shemar Stewart, his production was so bad at the collegiate level, and he was such a workout warrior. Two things can be true. The Bengals are cheap, and they're doing this, and it's their fault. Shemar Stewart was a project and desperately needed NFL reps in practice to be good. I feel like even if he gets signed, there is no way Shemar Stewart is going to show up in September with a month of practice, 4 weeks of practice, and just be a stud. I feel like it's a wash for him. You might as well sit out.
Yeah, so I think, to my knowledge regarding the Shemar Stewart situation, the dispute is over the Bengals wanting to put in his contract that, if he was to, I think, get hurt doing something that was outside of football activities, that they wouldn't have any guaranteed money to pay him or whatnot.
Isn't that what most contracts are?
I think a lot of teams do put that in their contracts.
Okay.
It might be different valuing scales to that. I'm not sure, but the Bengals wouldn't be the first team to try it. But I had heard in the past that they hadn't implemented it before. So Shemar Stewart's beef was over the fact that he's the first guy to have this in a Bengals first-round pick contract. And so you could kind of see it from both sides. It doesn't seem unreasonable from the Bengals standpoint, but also Shemar Stewart's kind of rightfully so, being why am I the first guy that has to adhere to this rule? But it does feel like posturing ultimately. Yeah. And I think that they'll work it out, but it is very Bengals. And also just Shemar Stewart, it's hilarious looking back on the people that maybe thought Shemar Stewart should have been the Cardinals pick.
I mean, I thought there was a chance that they would have looked at him again, the kid from Ohio State. I can never remember his name now. Simmons. If the board had been picked clean at 16, you could have talked me into it. I would have had to. It's I think the Cardinals taking Shemar Stewart would have been better than the Bears taking Colston Loveland, given who was available for the Bears to take, Walter Nolen. But Shemar Stewart was a top 20 prospect for a lot of people. Where it's going to get tough is when you compare Shemar Stewart with the production of a Landon Jackson and some of these other guys that were taken after him. So we watch it from afar and we snicker at it because Cardinals aren't living that life. They're also not living go ahead.
It wasn't a football activities thing. It was non-football activities thing. It was a disciplinary action thing. So if he was to face legal trouble, they would not then guarantee him his contract. It would then void the guarantees in his contract. And I guess that's a thing that some teams put in their language of their rookie contracts and some don't. And the Bengals are starting to try to implement it. And Shemar Stewart is saying, I don't want to be the first guy that has that in his contract.
Got it. I mean, maybe you don't get arrested. I don't know.
That also is an aspect of looking at it shouldn't be a problem, right? Right?
Yeah, be a good citizen. Shouldn't be a problem for the Niners to be terrible this year. Juaun Jennings also holding out. Brandon Ayuk not available. Deebo Samuel traded. So Juaun Jennings is like, hey, I frauded it up for 900 yards last year on a bad team. I want an extension. He's due to make $7.5 million. He already got a contract extension. He was a really nice pick out of Tennessee in the 7th round. He was a special teamer, and then he basically was the third wideout to Ayuk and Deebo. They got your boy Ricky Pearsall in the fold now. I would love to see Juaun Jennings hold out. I don't think there's any reality in which they pay him after they were really taken to the woodshed by Ayuk last year. I don't think they want to set that precedent. I'm here for the Niner dysfunction. I know people nationally are taking them seriously. I can't wait till week 3. Cardinals are infinitely better than San Francisco. It doesn't matter if Jennings is there or not. Give me Will Johnson against Juaun Jennings 20 times out of 20. Absolutely.
I think Juaun Jennings is a really good player, and as you said, like a really good value pick. I really don't know how much, leeway the Niners have in terms of paying even more resources and using more resources towards their wide receiver unit. So I think he puts them in a tough spot by doing that. And I think that there would be a lot of teams that be probably interested in trading for him at that number. $7.5 million is for a good wide receiver is an extremely reasonable rate. So, I think that would hurt the Niners a lot if they lost him. He's kind of like a different profile than a lot of their other receivers. Like, Ricky Pearsall is probably a little bit more of a slot guy, right? He's not a big bodied receiver. Juaun Jennings is. He figures as more that outside type. And I think that there would be a lot of teams that would be interested in bringing in Juaun Jennings. And I think, honestly, I think the Dolphins would be one of those teams because I think there's been some past rumors, and that does make some sense, I think. But
Niners should have embraced the full rebuild. They should have just started from scratch. And again, like Brock, let's see how good Brock.
Get rid of Purdy.
Yeah, well, or like let's see Brock Purdy elevate some other guys, and he'll be asked to do so. But I'm just going to talk a bunch of shit before these Niner games this year. I know there are people who are like, don't do it. It's the kiss of death. Don't do it on Twitter, Johnny. Like, I'm of the mindset, and Damon, I feel like you and I are like-minded in this. Like, my teams are rarely good when I think they're good, and I do think the Cardinals are better than San Francisco. I really don't know how that's debatable.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to be emphatic about the fact that I think they're going to sweep them again. I'm not going to come on this show and tippy-toe around San Francisco and Ricky Pearsall and a defensive line that's been gutted. And, Kyle Shanahan was swept by Jonathan Gannon last year. So, to me, I love the Cardinals' chances against San Francisco.
I think the Niners, there's an avenue where they are good. I don't know how likely it is. I think that you're putting a lot of faith into not a lot of depth, right? They have almost no depth. And it's like, hey, well, if Christian McCaffrey stays healthy the whole year, if, Brandon Ayuk comes back and is what he was 2 years ago rather than what he was last year, if Robert Saleh is able to elevate this defense that is not very talented on paper, like then the Niners could have a decent season, but that's a lot of big ifs in my opinion. So just look at the Cardinals roster. Like it's better than the Niners. It might not have the upper echelon stars that the Niners have, but top to bottom, it's just a more well put together roster. And then, I think that we all believe in this coaching staff a lot more than maybe the national media and the consensus common fan might, but that's all right. They could find out about Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rawlis and co. This next season.
Absolutely. We're going to find out how many likes we get today. 350 is the goal. We got 2 super chats kicking us off. Our guy Shaft on deck with $10. Thank you so much, Shaft. Still no luck with the live chat, Shaft. I don't know. We might have to make you a new YouTube page or account. There's a lot of good battles in camp. Cody Simon versus Gaither is my favorite. Did I post the message correctly about the Fantasy Football League? Who is interested? Yeah, everybody get in the Discord. Chop it up with our guy Shaft. We'll get that taken care of here. We'll probably have our draft, as we mentioned with Espo, about a month from now. Did you know, Damon, that the PHNX Sports Fantasy Football Draft again is at Gila? If I can get my sentence out. That's Espo said we're running it back and doing another Gila big time draft show.
Are you breaking news to me right now?
I guess I just assumed it was going to be low key this year because it was quite the spectacle last year. Espo's already saying like it's going to maybe go even harder this year, which is nuts.
Wow. I will say, shout out Petey. I'm not sure we'll be able to get a color commentator as good as Steve Peters was last year, because that was special stuff that Petey put out.
It was
on that performance. Petey Noah knows nothing about the NFL, and he just read a bunch of fantasy guides and then provided 3 hours long of analysis of each person's pick throughout the entire show. It was electric content.
I can do that.
Yeah, well, you'll be in the league.
Yeah. I'll do it and I'll commentate. Yeah,
we need Noah in this league. I told Johnny, I asked Noah, I think it was yesterday, and I was like, we can't not have a guy on the NFL beat in our fantasy football league. We'll make a spot for sweet Noah.
Yeah, Espo got me in today.
Yeah,
pretty worrisome. Eric, who I have immense respect for after today with his beef with Kevin Durant, doesn't play fantasy football.
He says he doesn't
win, one strike in the loss for Eric. That's weird.
It is pretty odd that I always find that weird to me. There's one of my friends loves football, and we're all of my closest friends are in a fantasy football league. And just one of them, who's in this close friend group, he's a big Colts fan. And he's just like, yeah, I couldn't care less about your guys' silly little fantasy league. And we're like, who are you? What's wrong with you? It doesn't make any sense.
I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to hear a lot of people crying. You're going to hear a lot of crybabies here internally at PHNX Sports. We want to cap it at 10 to 12 teams. If there are 16 teams in this company, if there are 16 people that want to play, this is cutthroat. I'm ready to go. Be confident in your classes, right?
That's a ball knower league. 16 teams. That's some real ball knower stuff. And I will add, Johnny, I think there's a lot of pressure on you this upcoming season, given the fact that you had a couple rough first couple years in this league.
Yeah, I screwed around. I was screwing around.
And then last year, in your words, you took it seriously, right?
And obviously, way of winning it.
Obviously, you were, the best team in the league all regular season long. You put together an elite roster, but things kind of fell apart in the playoffs, right?
No, I lost the championship game to Max, and I would appreciate if you didn't bring it up again. Thank you.
It's just, the Niners lost a couple championships too. You think that their fans should be treating it like they're champions? I think you have something to prove this season. Was last year a fraudulent year for Johnny Venerable, or is that truly his caliber of fantasy football play? I think that's truly up in the air.
It's another good point. Super chat, our guy Topic 64 499. He's mentioning the fact Jalen Thompson had dislocated finger last year. Uninjured Jalen, no dislocated finger this year. We'll see, fellas. Well, he was their MVP 2 years ago defensively. He had 5 interceptions, and he did not look like himself last year. And so, again, the Cardinals have shown you they value all the safeties that they have, and they're all going to play a lot. Jalen Thompson, to me, he's going to get to play out the entirety of his contract extension, and in the NFL, especially for a safety, that says a lot. So to me, I'm happy that I'm not in the business of getting rid of good players just to do it. So even if Jalen, has to split time or loses time to Taylor Demerson, you're not just getting rid of Jalen Thompson to get rid of him. And a lot of people put him in trade categories. First of all, unfortunately, and this, the safety position, Mika Fitzpatrick was just traded recently. The safety position is a very tumultuous position compared to some other ones around the NFL. So I'm happy to see Jalen got his money, and I look forward to seeing him bounce back this year because he's only 26 years old.
I just think that this defense is so top to bottom, has so much depth and so many fun pieces. You think about Robert Taylor Demerson being coming off the bench. You think about, Startling Thomas has been a starter, and he's been a serviceable starter for this team over the last couple of years. Even a guy like Keitrell Clark, who's going to struggle to make the roster potentially. He grades out pretty well with PFF and stuff. And it seems like the eye test matches up. He seems like a decently competitive corner. The linebacker room's a little bit thin, but obviously we detailed it with the D tackle and the defensive end groups. There's a good amount of players on those units as well. So I just think that this team is seen such a makeover in terms of depth, in terms of front line starting talent. And it's nice to actually finally be able to talk about, hey, which one of these good players should play on this team instead of which one of these bad players is not as bad as this other guy. Cause that's what it was 2 years ago. I mean, that's one of the least talented football teams I've ever seen in 2023.
Well, they are night and day better. And I think that's why it's so important. We break down these camp battles. We previewed them today. We gave you our opinions. But again, things get real a week from today. Damon Dawg crushed it, my guy. We appreciate you. 80-minute show, camp preview. We got one more day. I consider tomorrow the last day of the offseason, by the way. I know a lot of people wait until like the preseason's done. Real tangible football starts next week. We're going to preview it again, manana. Big thanks to Damon Dawg. Big thanks to Noah Man behind the mic, crushing it as always. Thank you for your generosity and super chats. And again, follow us on PHNX Sports on all social platforms. And of course, subscribe here on YouTube. 50K before the start of the regular season. That is our goal. You will get us there. For Damon, no, I'm Johnny Venerable. We're back on a Friday. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.